movie for pennies. It was a very quick, very short, very cheap shoot. Time is money. We shot this in 16 nights. A 90-minute film in 16 nights is quite the feat, and it requires everyone to be very focused and very quick on their feet. But we were all very lucky to get to experience this with each other, because despite that, we were all able to find those very precious and special moments with each other where there was lots of laughter or bonding. Whether that's just talking about friends and family, or bonding over the very stressful pressure cooker situation that indie filmmaking can produce. We had tons of great moments. To speak to Angus and how beautiful of a person he was always so humble and grateful and proud to show up to work every day. We started work at 5 p.m. and we ended at 5 a.m. and he was always ready to go, always had a smile on his face, greeted every single person in that room, and did his best to get to know you, whether you were his fellow actor or an AD or a PA or a caterer. He made everyone feel like they were at home, and that is such a huge help on a shoot like this that is very quick and can be very stressful, and there's lots of pressure to get it done and get it right.
Yeah. And tell me, when you first met the directors and producers for this movie, what sort of envision did they tell you about the concept and what they had in mind for your character? And were you able to start to get a grasp straight from your first meeting in terms of what they were trying to do with this project? Or was it maybe when you got the scripts, you were able to unravel and say, oh, yes, now I see what they're trying to get through? Or did you sort of hit off that connection first off there, where you could start to see from that initial conversation where the movie was going to heading in their minds?
Great question. Let me think. So when I was sent this script and the sides in form of an audition, I taped myself back in November of 2021 for this role. So I had the sides, I had the script, and I mean, for me personally, when I tape these kinds of things, I do it to my best interpretation, right? My best, yep. My personal flavor, my personal read on whatever it is that I'm reading. I do my best to infuse what I feel is written on the page, but also what I feel is necessary to bring to this character, the story. So I put myself on tape. And then about a few days later, maybe I had some chemistry reads with some of the character who plays Abraham. And that was when I met Dan, was in my chemistry reads. And I think that was so again, that was so focused on chemistry, and there were maybe some notes here or there, but we didn't have a huge conversation about how to approach Anna Marlene or how to approach Your Lucky Day. We had very little time. Again, I don't, if you talk to Dan, he will tell you he had about a month of pre-production, and I had about a week of getting to prepare this role before we shot it. So I mean, in between a month, he financed this film, cast this film, and we shot it starting December 1st, and we were done in 16 days. So it was very quick, and there wasn't tons of time for conversations, or at least not deep, thoughtful conversations. I'm sure we had many ones here and there, but we had them in the moment on set. You know what I mean? When we were deciding what to do. And for me personally, I don't want to speak for Dan, but for me, I feel as if I really ran on a lot of instinct, a lot of adrenaline, a lot of doing what felt right in the moment. And luckily I had a great director and great fellow cast to kind of make that job easier for me. And because when you work with great people, you yourself can produce greater things, because we're all, have our best hands at the job. And not tons of time to have deep, thoughtful conversations. It was very quick, and we ran on a lot of adrenaline. But I think sometimes that works, especially in this film, which anybody who watches can tell it's very quick. It keeps you on the edge of your seat. It's very quickly paced, and we worked like that. And so I think that all kind of infused to create this great indie thriller.
Okay. Okay. And Jessica, can you tell us about your character Anna Marlene in terms of your lucky day? Can you tell us in terms of how she comes into the reckoning in terms of the movie, and tell us a bit about her story?
Yes. So Anna Marlene is a young pregnant waitress. She finds herself in this convenience store on Christmas Eve with her partner and her baby daddy, as I call him, Abraham, played by the wonderful Elliot Knight. So Anna Marlene and her partner are in this convenience store, and I think they're just, living the day to day that we all live. This moment where we're just doing something that we could do on any day, but suddenly we are faced with this incredible opportunity. And I think Anna Marlene starts this film with the most head-on, straight moral compass. And, whether or not she unravels that herself or she is forced to unravel it may be up for debate, but she is faced with this incredible opportunity this night in a convenience store, and it challenges her, and she evolves in a way that most characters I read for don't. And she's witty and smart and fascinating and strong and vulnerable and all these incredible things. Yeah. Yeah.
I suppose, Jessica, one thing that struck me about Your Lucky Day is the pace of this movie. It's sort of a slight, sort of no slow enough sort of start, people get in, but when the penny drops, the pace goes up and it goes up, and then it really sort of takes off in terms of a mile a sort of minute in terms of octane. So you're almost feeling like that once that crescendo moment, once that ticket is sort of drawn, dare I say, the whole production and all the actors and everyone involved, it all goes into overdrive in terms of for the next 60 70 minutes of the movie in terms of that. So in terms of pacing yourself, did you notice that as well, from the opening sort of scenes then to when that sort of that penny drop, that the whole sort of tempo of the movie and every word that you were saying, every action that you were saying was more dare I say, more on the pace, more at a quicker sort of tempo?
I believe so. This is like, did I sense this while we were filming? Yeah. So yes, I mean, we did not shoot this in order entirely. Dan and the team, they did their best, but we did have to take things out of order to shoot them. Yeah, that's filmmaking, but so that was a challenge, to remind myself constantly, where we are in this moment, where we were right before, and where we will end up after, is, I think, kind of, the important thing to keep in your head when you're doing these films. But I think at the end of the day, just being very honest to the moment always lends itself to the intensity of the pace. It just naturally happens if you are authentically representing what's on the page. It's helpful to remind myself again what happened right before this, what's happening after this. But Dan wrote an incredible screenplay. It's all on the page, and as long as you follow it and follow his direction, it's easy to keep that pace, and just to remind yourself again what is going on in this moment, what's at stake here, what is at stake in this scene and this moment, and just playing into that authentically will keep, I think, the pace that's set by Dan Brown.
I suppose, Jessica, in terms of indie movies, they're obviously directed in terms of to being a good project within their own market, hopefully be successful on domestic, maybe go to one or two awards ceremonies. And I suppose actors and actresses have that sort of hope in terms that maybe it might tick off one or two boxes. But what's it like when a movie, an indie movie with a low production, goes international, and then you're speaking now to an Irish audience, in terms of an American audience, in terms of a lot of New York's audience. When a movie goes international in terms of an indie sort of movie, is there a greater sense of a pride for everyone that's involved in terms of the hard work that's gone in, rather than being cast maybe in your blockbuster film where you have maybe a cameo role in a movie that's and the main lead is Dwayne Johnson and sort of stuff, which you know there's going to be a block, which you know is going to pull in, breaks the viewers out because it's got Dwayne Johnson in it. So that's going to have a massive sort of appeal, no matter what the type of movie is, if you landed a cameo role. Does this almost feel that bit even better, because given what that you were working off, given that the sort of production and sort of stuff, and that maybe the targets that was originally set for the movie, it succeeded them, and it's gone outside the States and gone outside Canada? Is that a greater sense of achievement for you as an actress?
I guess it wouldn't be fair for me to compare the two, because the cameo in the Dwayne Johnson movie is unfortunately not something I've experienced. But I can speak to this experience, and to, yeah, I think indie filmmaking is high risk, high reward. Dan and the fellow team took a high risk, and I think we've achieved a high reward. You know, when you do these indies, I feel like sometimes you do them with bated breath. You don't even know that anybody will ever see them, that they'll ever see the light of day, that they'll lose funding or can't find more to finish it, or whatever the case may be. So you do these indies because you love the script and because you love the people who are making them. I loved Dan's screenplay. I loved Dan's past short film work. I believed in him. I believed in Angus and the fellow cast, and I had a good feeling about it, and that's why I did it. Also because I felt like Anna Marlene was, again, a character that you do not come across very smart, witty, very physical, very badass pregnant women in their third trimester. Those roles just are very few and far between. And it was very interesting and a huge challenge. And all of these reasons are why I did this film. And I can speak to how great it feels to feel like we achieved something here. You know, we did it. We made this film in 16 days for, again, pennies. And while I can't speak to the feeling of other successful experiences, I can speak to how great it feels to have, put my trust in myself and in these people to make something that we really loved. And it feels great to know that other people love it too. That's why we do this, right? Is to share this experience and this and these feelings of joy and of achievement. And of course, it's a great feeling to know that hopefully, just the way this film has touched us, that it touches other people. And it doesn't even have to be as serious as that. As long as people watched this and had fun, I think we all accomplished something here, and that's a great feeling.
On that note, Jessica Garza, for the final 30 seconds, you might enlighten all our audience, all our listeners, why they should go wherever the production's on, whether there's a limited release or in a cinema theatre, in the many cinema theatres across Ireland, why they should go out in force, why they should watch Your Lucky Day with Angus Cloud, Sterling Boom, and Spencer Garrett, Elliot Knight, and of course yourself, the one and only Jessica Garza, and what's in store for them? Jessica.
Sure. So I think people should see this film because I like it. I think I have decent taste. We had a lot of fun making it. I think it's a fun film, and I would be remiss to also not mention that I think people should see this film for Angus. We lost someone way too short in his life and in his career. He was incredible in Euphoria. He's a huge reason why I did this film, was to work with him and to have another performance of his out there that exists and that will hopefully carry on some sort of legacy for his career, at least, is a huge reason as to why I think people should see it. I think he's incredible in this film. I think he had so much left to do here. And I hope people see this film for him. I also just hope they see it if they want a fun, exciting, intense, edge of your seat, nail biting thriller. As for, you know, me and what's next, I'm enjoying this moment. I'm enjoying Your Lucky Day. It just came out, and I love hearing what people have to say. I love, you know, staying in touch with people on social media. If you reach out to me or if you comment something, I'll likely see it. And if I don't, I just want to say, like, I appreciate you for anyone who watches it or who loves it. If you don't like it and you watched it, I appreciate that too. You know, I'm just really grateful and thankful to be here in this moment and to be celebrating Your Lucky Day.
On that note, it is indeed a lucky day today in terms of talking to Jessica Garza to promote Your Lucky Day. But for me, Jim Conlan, to you, Jessica Garza, enjoy a sort of a nice warm household in New York today, and keep the mittens on and the fire burning in terms of that, and don't catch a cold anyway. But for the moment, for me, Jim Conlan, to you, Jessica Garza, stay safe, take care, and God bless.
Thank you so much. You as well.
Take care, Jessica.